Okay, so the way Talkaoke works is kind of up to you what you want to talk about. We don't provide the... Come and have a seat. Hello. What's it? Come, give us 2 minutes just to warm it up, and then that will... Maybe we can even talk about what you're going to get to eat to stimulate your taste buds and your... and mushrooms. Okay, maybe... Are you going to have a mushroom dish?
Monster Munch, beef or pickled onion.
Oh, don't say that. I've just sat down in the middle. Yeah.
There are two types of people in this world.
Yeah.
Pickled onion flavour Monster Munch or beef flavour.
Alright.
And we all know that beef flavour are the superior beings.
Why? Okay, so a very controversial statement. What's your name?
Jar Jar Sapien.
Okay, can I just call you Jar Jar?
Jar Jar.
Yeah, okay. So we have got, I know Jack, we've got Ellie. Ella, and we've got Alex and Ben. And come and sit down, come and get involved, come on. Don't make excuses, sit down and then go, and yourself as well. 2 minutes, then you can go and get some mushrooms. So we've got, what's your name?
Jay.
And Roz. Okay, so we've got subjects on the table already, which is pickled onion Monster Munch. We can go with that unless someone wants to supply something else, something different. Are you happy with that? Yeah, are you? Okay, well, let's just go around the table. Pickled onion, or what's the other one called? Beef, just beef.
Well, that's his favourite.
Okay, can I Monster Munch?
I'm a beef gal.
Okay.
I'd rather have a wheat crunchy.
Ah, enjoy any particular flavour?
Smoky bacon.
Smoky bacon, yeah.
Pickled onion.
Pickled onion.
Yeah.
Back to the Monster Munch argument. It's like the Tories and Labour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And some people say they don't get involved, and they say they are flaming hot. With flaming hot, it's just liberal.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's
two main contending classes in this. It's the beef and the pickled onion.
Okay.
And
I mean,
and if you're left wing, you have to be beef.
Is it that simple though? Is it really that simple?
Yeah, I've done a lot of study.
Okay.
I've done a lot of studying.
Okay, let me go around. Jay, have you got any views on this?
Strictly pickled.
What?
Strictly pickled.
I thought you were saying strawberry pickle.
Stroke my pickle.
Come and have a seat. Beef or pickled onion Monster Munch? What are you? What's that?
I can't hear well, and I don't have enough time.
Okay, well, still come and sit down anyway.
Okay.
Might need to just bring the volume down.
Okay, we need to bring the volume down a little bit.
It's just the guys over there struggling with volume.
Okay, we're struggling with sound. We've got sound clash going on. But come down. Okay, but this is important. This is an important discussion, so we need to have this. And somehow we can... What's your name?
Robert,
we got Roz, we got Jay, we got Jar Jar, we got Ben, we got Alex, we got Jack and Ella. I'm Mikey. And right now we're having... well, is it that simple? Is it just a question of pickled onion versus ham?
Beef flavour.
Ham, beef actually, even, not ham. Roast beef, actually, yeah, it is roast beef, you're right. Roz.
I hate Monster Munch.
Really? What is it that gives you that passionate hatred for a snack?
I don't like them. It's not a bloody crisp.
Okay. It's not a crisp. Robert, have you got a view on this?
roast beef.
Really? Is that your view?
I love it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is the question here. Is it that simple? Is it just a simple bipartisan binary opposition between roast beef and pickled onion? You're the wheat crunchy man. What?
It really is that simple.
Yeah, you think it? Yeah, okay, you say yes.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah,
what
straight
about
up.
the wheat crunchy man?
Well, if I had to pick it out, beef.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Is it that simple, though?
Yeah.
Okay, it is that simple. Okay. You know what I was kind of hoping, I'm going to say this to the camera as there's one here, I was kind of hoping it would be not that simple. But anyway, there we go. Yep. What were you going to say?
I think it's simple.
It's simple, okay. I mean, is it that you mentioned...
Labour and Tories.
Labour and Tories.
Labour and Tories.
Is it that simple with Labour and Tories as well?
It's political, isn't it?
Yeah, I was giving an example of the kind of what we have on the table is contending flavours of crisps,
Yeah.
which there is no in between. You're either beef, roast beef, or pickled onion.
Like
And when people cop out and say they're flaming hot, it really fucking winds me up.
Okay. You think people should just like go with it, just be like actually,
One or the other.
yeah, just stand where you stand.
Take the plate.
Yeah.
There's no sitting on the fence with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Either or.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about Ben's wheat crunchy smoky bacon wheat?
His name's Jack.
Oh yeah, Jack. Sorry,
That's
yeah,
Ben.
that's Ben. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nevertheless, have you got an opinion about Jack?
But wheat crunchies?
Yeah.
I don't like them.
No.
Nah. Never been a fan.
Okay, I mean, well, your point about the crisps, are all these snacks actually just imposters to the crisp?
It's not a crisp. It's not a crisp. It's a puffed up thing.
Yeah.
It's not
What?
a fucking proper crisp.
How have wheat crunchies? I mean, what is even Monster Munch made out of? Do you know?
Yeah, fuck all. Oh, God knows. It's something. It's like they package things in those, like it's like that. The things that they package things
It's like
in.
a packaging. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the world we live in where we actually consume packaging? See what I did there? We are consuming packaging. What you were saying? What are they
I
made
was
out
saying
of?
it's made out of maize, like corn.
Yeah. That's an amazing fact.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, amaze balls, thank you. So, are we consuming packaging, and can we spread this debate out further than Monster Munch? And are we actually consuming packaging? And is that
No, there's no being agnostic about it, is there? Like, there is no sitting on the fence.
Is it Lush that package the stuff with edible foam? Lush package all their products with edible foam.
Lush?
They do. Lush, the company, the soap company.
Yeah.
If you buy anything from them, the foam that you get in the box is edible.
Have you eaten it?
I have.
Does it taste soapy?
It tastes like shit.
If you take 5 pots back, you get a free face mask. Yeah.
Right, I didn't know that.
I didn't.
Okay, well there's a paradigm for all companies. Okay, so where do we want to go with this conversation? Do we want to talk about packaging and edible packaging? Do we want to talk about sitting on the fence? Other snacks?
I'm a fan of roasted and salted nut, like peanuts. Like I love them. Like I really love them.
Unsalted?
Yeah, like like the salted ones that you get, like in half.
Yeah.
Like I just feel as if like my favourite food.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any thoughts on this side, Robert?
Well,
Well, basically we've got this is Ben, and that's Jack, and Ben. Whereas Jack is a wheat crunchies snacker, Ben likes unsalted whole peanuts. But I feel
in the show?
Yeah, you gotta crack it. Yeah. It's like it's satisfactory. It's part of the experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel that's a kind of snacking posture, or is that a more natural snack?
That is a more natural snack. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Nuts and raisins together.
Nuts and
Very healthy.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
healthy. Unsalted.
What were you going to say, Robert?
Well, I agree with what she said.
Yeah.
I prefer a natural snack.
Natural snacks. Okay.
Yes.
What's your snack of choice?
Well, I love beef jerky.
What? What is it?
Beef jerky.
Yeah. What?
This is an American snack, I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it though? How do you jerk beef?
Did I say the wrong thing? Well, no, I've never. But I've eaten a lot of beef jerky. This is a slab of leathery meat that's dried and seasoned and salty.
Okay.
It's a snack.
How do people feel about beef jerky?
We're both veggies.
You're
so,
vegetarian?
Yeah, we're veggies round here.
Okay. I mean, if
Love a spicy.
The clue is in the name.
Ella.
Jerky.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, you're
Jerky with it?
I mean, you're vegetarian. How do you feel about meat as a vegetarian?
I don't know, I just don't agree with it. But I mean, each to their own, isn't it?
I mean, when you say you don't, what exactly don't you agree with?
Yeah. Probably the slaughtering of the animals.
Do you agree with the slaughtering of the animals?
No.
No?
But I'm not veggie, so I can't comment.
Okay, so you don't agree with the slaughtering of animals, but you're not vegetarian.
It's an aim of mine. Put it
Okay.
that way.
Aim to come and have a seat.
I'm just curious.
Okay, this is Talkaoke. We're talking about snacks. Yeah. Pull up a seat. Look, there's.
Opened up a can of worms this time.
You
huh?
have, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm on the spot. Well, is it a safe time to leave the table then?
Well, give us a final thought.
I told you I didn't have much time.
Give us a final thought before you go, and the same applies to you. Give us a final thought.
Well, keep jerking. Just don't stop jerking.
Okay. Keep on jerking in the free world. Okay, so we've got Robert who's about to leave, but maybe now that you've sat down, he might stay a bit longer.
We can do this together.
Yeah, it might stay a bit longer.
What we're doing,
This is Talkaoke. It's a pop-up talk show where we talk about whatever you want to talk about, which seems.
Let's have a conversation.
What's
So, like, have you ever thought about, you know, fossils?
Yeah.
Like, how many of them there actually are, and like the different sizes of animals under the depths of the ocean we've never actually discovered. Like, you know, that the ocean goes so far down that, like, you know, how many animals are there we don't even know about, and fossils of animals.
Okay.
It's madness. Like, it's crazy.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna let's just introduce. I'm gonna park that. We're not gonna forget that. But let's just introduce our new face. So we've got Robert, we've got Jar Jar, we've got Ben, we've got Alex, and we've got Jack and Ella. Come on, and we've got this man as well. What's your name?
Martin.
And we've got Martin. Currently, that we're kind of at a crossroads. Do we carry on with the vegetarianism stroke snack debate, or do we talk about the?
No, do I talk about fossils?
Do we talk about the do we get your name? What's your name?
It's Lindsay.
Lindsay. Do we talk about the potentially infinite archive of fossils of unknown creatures that could be lingering beneath the oceans?
Well, there are certainly some, without a doubt, creatures we've not found yet, prehistoric and otherwise.
Are there any fossils of snacks down there, like Monster Munch?
The peanuts.
Yeah.
Do you reckon there's peanut fossils?
You can get peanut fossils?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can get clay pipes and oyster shells in London right now.
Okay. Are they fossils?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're under the ground.
Fossilised clay pipes and oyster shells. Whereabouts in London do you find those?
Around the Clerkenwell area.
Okay, fantastic. What are you saying, Lindsay?
I was just saying, Jar Jar's lost a bit of weight.
Really? Is it all the Monster Munch you've been eating?
I think we're digressing.
Yeah. Well, that is Talkaoke. It is basically a digression station.
Yeah. But shall we digress back to the main subject of Monster Munch?
Re-digress. Well, I mean, is Monster Munch a good weight loss diet?
Yeah, because it's full of air. And it's probably more healthy than a real roast on a Sunday.
Where do you stand on the vegetarianism?
Vegetarianism?
Yeah.
I love vegetarianism.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Vegetarianism.
Yeah.
Vegetarianism.
What about Sagittarianism?
Sagittarianism.
Yeah.
Now we're getting on to the stars.
I mean, okay. Do we want to talk about is it a particular astrology that's led you to be a vegetarian? Do we want to talk about your vegetarianism? What is vegetarianism?
Well, it's something I've developed.
Is that a particular type of diet?
No, it's just I'm only one. I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah. Okay.
I just like muff.
Love. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. I can relate to that. Was there a comment, a point? I sort of saw in my peripheral vision a raised finger over here. Oh, you were just laughing. Okay. Okay, that's a shame. Martin, you haven't said much so far.
I just think he's all talking a load of rubbish. Until someone can say something interesting, then
could we make it more interesting with this particular crowd? Do you think it's possible?
Gypsies, we talk about them.
What do you want to say about gypsies?
Keep them going, man. Keep carnivals alive, and also long live the bogan.
Are we losing our gypsy culture in this country, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure it's our culture because they're not from here by nature.
But I mean, does that mean it's not our culture?
Well, technically yes, because they're known as like Romanies. Like, they want to. They don't want a culture.
Okay, interesting. Gypsies, any thoughts on that? Are we losing? I'm going to say it, even if you don't believe it. I mean, I think I think Lindsay's saying that we're kind of the carnivalesque and the fairs, the gypsy traditions are kind of dying out.
There are two types of gypsies.
Yeah, pickled onion.
Roast beef and pickled onion flavour.
Which do you prefer?
Roast beef.
Okay. I mean,
gypsy culture then? Like, what's the score with the gypsy culture?
Yeah,
like,
what is it?
I feel like almost, gypsy culture might have just moved more into the mainstream. We have like these carnivals and stuff that would have only been celebrated in a sense in the past by gypsies. It's.
I mean, has it got more mainstream and merged with?
Gypsies. Have got mainstream.
They had their own TV show. Like they had like 4 TV shows. They have wedding, communions, fucking bar mitzvahs. I don't know.
I live in a caravan.
Okay, so maybe gypsy culture has become more mainstream and therefore less noticeable as a kind of.
But the only problem is there's stereotypes of gypsies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the whole fucking.
Do you think that still persists? Does it?
No, I know a few gypsies. They're not all fighters. Some are intellectuals.
Yeah.
Some are communists. Yeah. Some, they're a microcosm society, but with wheels.
Okay, I mean,
band King Can and the Shrines, 69 Phases of Love, fantastic.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Who's this? Can you say that a bit slower?
King Can and the Shrines, good band, beautiful song, 69 Phases of Love.
Yeah. I mean, when we say gypsy, are we thinking too much of a stereotype of a particular type of character?
There's only one kind of thing. There are gypsies. That's it.
Okay.
They're all thieving gypsy bastards.
That's the stereotype. Okay.
I'll sharpen your blades and steal your washing.
Okay, so that still persists even in 2017, which that's the year we're in now. Ella?
I don't know, just a bit, I don't know, I don't really want to say it.
Okay, I mean, where do we want to go with this? There's so many debates. I don't feel we really uncovered the fossil to discussion. There's the peanuts, there's the roast beef, there's this bar. What's that?
Is this to like bounce things off each other and like get like a debate going? Is this the aim of what we're doing?
I mean, it's more interesting when there's a bit of a debate.
I'm get into it. It's just a bit like devil's advocate.
Come and sit down. Come and get involved in this. Pickled onion or roast beef? Pickled onion or roast beef? Have we not moved on from a bipartisan sort of approach where you have to? Jar Jar here is saying that you have to declare your colours, be it that kind of purpley lilac or the yellow. But I don't know. I feel that we need to move on from this bipartisan approach where you either have to be one or the other.
I would die for the right to have the choice of roast beef and pickled onion.
Yeah.
But I'll still maintain.
Okay, so you're willing to put your life on the line. Let's give this man a round of applause. Yeah. What's your name?
Tom. You met me yesterday.
Yeah, but that was yesterday. It's a whole different day. Come and sit down. Anyway, so what I find interesting and almost gallant about what Tom said is that even though he's a passionate pickled onionist, he will support people's right to consume.
Free the nipple, isn't it? It's like free the nipple. Just get it out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just get it out.
Yeah.
What's wrong with the nipple?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Bleach your ring.
What was that? Sorry. You have to talk in the microphone. I can't understand the word you're saying.
I was just saying, bleach your ring.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Final thought, Martin.
Goodbye, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Is it goodbye? Is it forever, or is it just a temporary thing?
It's just not farewell. It's goodbye.
Okay.
And everyone, I love you.
Okay. Thank you. Well, they're lovely people, aren't they? Lovely.
What do you think makes a lovely person? Like, what's your definition? Like, you just come out then and said, like, lovely people. Like, why? Why do you think that?
Name a few characteristics of a lovely person.
I think there's someone that's willing to talk into my microphone.
So would you say I was a lovely person?
Yeah, definitely.
But do you know me? Like, no, I'm not trying to get aggy. I'm just saying, like, you can't judge my character. Like,
well, I mean, why would I say you're not a lovely person?
Could be amazing.
I could be. You know, you don't know what I've done.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, what do people think? Do people think that Ben is a lovely person?
I'll just go and get a drink. I'll be back in a minute. Yeah?
You're a lovely person, Joshua. Okay, so come and have a seat on the table and chat. We're down to the original 4, the starting point. Come and sit down. Come and have a seat.
Can I just get you turn it down?
We've got to turn it down. It's all right. We can do it now because let's go. We get less excited. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Can you still hear me? Yeah. Okay. We've got to turn it down because they're doing some talking about some shit in the other room. He's not a lovely person. No. Anyway. Yeah, he's killing the vibe.
To describe him?
Yeah.
Yeah, describe him word for him.
How would you describe that man?
Cunt.
Is that an adjective though? It's not an adjective, is it? That's a noun. Could you give us an adjective?
Well, I don't know. What is an adjective when it's a
describing.
That's a describing word.
That man.
Yeah.
Grizzly.
Grizzly, okay.
Yeah.
Fluorescent.
Fluorescent, okay. Okay.
Quite pretty.
Pretty.
We'll say pretty. Well, I don't know. Hairy.
Okay. Pretty, that's interesting. I think he'll be most pleased with pretty, to be honest. Okay, well, grizzly. Anyway. Music, okay, you want to talk about music?
Yeah, let's go to music.
Okay, what do you want to say about music?
Yeah, it's just brilliant.
Yeah?
It's absolutely brilliant, yeah.
Could you live in a world without music?
Never.
No?
Could you live in a world without John Lennon? I mean, I'm living in it now, but, you know what I mean? I don't want to.
He was there and he sadly
now
left
he's
us.
gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Okay.
It's not like living in a world, is it? It's like living in a pit.
George, though, on the other hand.
I'll second that.
Gorgeous George.
Okay.
I'd second the George Harrison thing. Like, you know, Ravi Shankar teaching him how to play that sitar was like, man.
Okay. I mean, has that had an influence on Liverpool, do you think?
Definitely. Every Scouser, their favourite Beatle is George, and if it's not, then they're wrong. They're not a Scouser, they're a Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the Whittle.
And that's just indefinite. That's factual evidence. Yeah.
There's research on that.
Right. What is that? What did the research say?
The research says if your favourite Beatle isn't George Harrison and you're from Liverpool, you're not really from Liverpool, you're from the Whittle.
Okay. All right, let's get some. I'm trying to get. No, there's nothing wrong with you guys. Not that I'm being like scoused out or anything like that. But let's get some. Let's come and sit down. Come and sit. This is Talkaoke's a pop.
You've been sort of.
I have just teleported here.
Yeah, it really looks like.
I've teleported here from Planet Chat.
Okay. Planet Chat.
Yes. Come and have a seat. So we've got Ella here. We've got Jack. We've got Alex. We've got Ben. I'm Mikey. What's your name?
Buddy.
Yeah. And
Sarah.
And
John.
Was it?
John.
Okay. At the moment we're talking about the effect of the Beatles on Liverpool. Is it a lasting effect? Has the Beatles had a different effect on Liverpool than they've had, or the Wirral, which apparently is not Liverpool, I've just discovered. Has it had a permanent effect on Liverpool that it hasn't had on the rest of the planet? Yeah.
It's like the music capital of everywhere, isn't it? Like obviously the Cabin's always going to be the most famous club.
I was just listening to Ella, but what are you saying?
I don't know, the way I was grew up with the Beatles, they're like your strange uncles that from afar. They're like uncles, they're almost like family, aren't they? Weird. You always grew up with them. They were always there. The music was always on. And then as you got older, you got to know them more. And they're like family, as far as I'm concerned.
So it's like a kind of...
We have good nights listening to the Beatles, like, you know.
Really?
Yeah, we rock Revolver on and, like, you know. Yeah.
Okay.
Just getting fucked up, you know what I mean?
Really?
Nah.
They were tending to be liars.
Okay. Okay, we've got another face to say. What's your name?
Leo.
There we got John. We got
Sarah.
Sarah and Buddy and Ben and Alex and Jack and Ella. We're talking about the Beatles. Where are you from?
Slough.
Slough. Do they have Beatles nights in Slough?
No.
No.
They have nothing in Slough.
Nothing.
No.
Was the office accurate?
They broke down the office. You know that?
What do you mean
the only heritage of Slough, the filming place of fucking. They broke it down.
Has the sitcom The Office had a similar effect on Slough as the Beatles has had on Liverpool?
I think Liverpool. No, not at all. Because basically, Slough is an industrial fucking corporate wasteland, and Liverpool is a centre of independent young people and independent arts.
Could you turn Slough into a kind of Liverpool?
You could, but you'd probably be killed by someone before you achieved your goal.
Okay, all right, that's interesting. I mean, it leads us to the question that, like, okay, we know that Liverpool's got something special, but is it the people, is it the place, the combination of people and place, or why can't Slough be like Liverpool?
It's in the south.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's southern.
Yeah.
Alex Turner didn't make Sheffield, did he? Like, it was. No, he didn't. It didn't, did he? He definitely didn't. None of them made it.
On a place like, you know, the magnitude of like the size of what you're doing depends on like the size of the city that you're doing it in. You know what I mean? You can't really start a riot in like, you know, London or somewhere, but it's easier to do it in like a small place. You know what I mean?
So it's the Beatles were so big. Where are you from, Sarah?
I'm originally from London, but I live in Sheffield now.
Okay. Do you think there's any other cultural phenomenon like the Beatles that's had such a massive effect on?
Well, you've got sort of like, you had all synth pop, didn't you, in the 80s with Sheffield, and Sheffield definitely has that industrial heritage, and I think probably with Liverpool and Sheffield, because they have...
Hey, Buddy, give us a final thought. I don't want to interrupt Sarah, but I need a final thought from you. I need final thoughts from everybody. Sorry, Sarah. Final thoughts from all of you before you go. Nice to meet you all.
I'll tell you one. The Human League, when we listen to it in 50 years, 100 years, what the Beatles will.
You think the Human League? Okay.
Long live Ringo.
Okay.
It's all too much. Not only should have been on Sgt. Pepper, it should have been released as a single and would have fried the psychedelic community's mind, for it's the greatest acid song ever written.
Okay. Okay. Final thought?
Don't smoke menthol bifters, you're scatty if you do.
Okay, so it's just us on this. So we lost the Scouts contingent all in one go. But the thing about Talkaoke is it's kind of up to you to decide what you want to talk about. We've got a new face over here.
So what's the concept? So this is being broadcast?
It's being recorded. It's not actually being broadcast. Yeah, these guys are regulars. This is Talkaoke. I'm just dishing out some cards, but hello. Please do join. So let's just maybe get another round of names as we've got some new faces to the table. So what's your name?
Liv.
And
Julia.
James.
Sarah, please give us a final thought before you go, and the same applies to you, John, as well. So sit down for a second.
I don't know.
Please.
It's a great festival.
What are you thinking? What's in your mind? What's in your head at the moment?
Oh my God, existential crisis, always.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What is that? I mean, what's the nature? That's.
What's the nature of that?
Yeah,
we're all going to die, and it's terrifying.
Okay, you're going to die, and it's terrifying. Okay, well maybe we can work with that. John, final thought.
Yeah, it's my first time in Liverpool. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
are you worried about dying?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just by default.
We're going to make as much music as we can.
Make music and then die. Right. Okay. Okay. We've been thrown this I'm sure. Well, we didn't get your name actually.
Leo.
Yep, I knew that. But anyway, we didn't get your name.
James.
James. Thank you. Thank you for enunciating. It's hard in the middle here when there's so much background noise.
I don't know. Well, I sing badly sometimes.
Come and have a seat. Come and get involved. I mean, where do we want to go with this?
Choir. I was in a Mormon choir when I was a kid.
Yeah, it's good enunciation. Thank you. What do we want to talk about? It's kind of up to you. Do we want to talk about this existential crisis? Do we want to talk about?
I would say I don't really have one. Really,
no?
I'm quite happy with everything as it is.
I mean, You don't believe you?
I don't believe you.
Why?
That's bullshit.
Why?
Because everyone's got problems. You can hide them very well, but
no. But I mean, it was a specific problem, that a kind of terror of impending death. And you're saying you don't have a terror?
No, well, like I'm not scared of before I was born, so I'm also not scared of after I'm dead, because I think they're like the same
that makes sense.
thing.
Okay.
So it might be scary for like 5 seconds when it actually happens, but then that's it. So.
Okay.
You're dying.
You're scared of pain.
Yeah, I don't want it to hurt, but if you're dying, well, I think when I'm dead, I'm not going to know, so that doesn't scare me. I just don't want it to hurt on the way out.
Okay.
Judas.
Have you got any views on this? Are you? No.
I mean, not really.
Not really. Okay. I mean, so are you sceptical of a lack of fear of impending death?
No. On face value, yes. But then, it's natural. Fucking animals are afraid to die. It's just natural.
Okay. You're agreeing as well? What's your name?
I'm Pat, and I am agreeing in so much as we're hardwired not to die.
Yeah.
So you're frightened of it on that level because that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But you can kind of work with it.
Yeah.
And you develop your own personal philosophy about it, and that's what you've done, really, isn't it? You've developed that philosophy.
I would say I heard someone say that once, so then I just quote it sometimes.
So you didn't develop a personal philosophy.
But it made sense to me. So I was like, that makes sense.
I mean, there's no reason why we need to develop our own personal philosophy when there's plenty of other people developing their personal philosophies. Like people like Leo that are quite willing to share their personal philosophies with other people. We didn't get your name. What's your name?
My name is Rowan, and I just don't intend to die. Full stop.
You're not gonna die.
It's an illness. It's a disease. We can cure it like anything else. Why? I mean,
how do you intend to avoid death?
You might be able to back up your brain. You might be able to reverse the aging, or stop or reverse the aging process.
Yeah.
We might be able to tap into whatever possible thing it is that we go into, if there is such thing as an afterlife, which I don't personally believe. But
okay.
Wouldn't you lose the meaning of your existence?
I don't know. It's just words. I don't think it really means anything to have an existence. I think I don't know. I mean, it's an impossible question to answer. If you specified your terms, then maybe you can kind of
let's ask you anyway. On this side, if you didn't die, would you lose meaning in your life?
I think so. Like I think part of being human or being alive is that it's not going to last forever. That's what makes you do stuff. If you want to do something, what makes you do it is knowing that if you don't do it now, you might never do it.
Yeah.
You know you're going to live forever. You might just sit at home and do nothing forever. Yeah. Like there's no reason to.
Yeah. Okay, come and have a seat. Are you scared of death? That's what we're talking about now. And have you developed a philosophy?
No, I love death. It's the best.
Yeah. What's good about death?
Everything that's not good about life.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for that contribution. Come and tell us a bit more at some point. Okay, so we're talking about developing ways to overcome the fear of death. We're talking about, do we need death for that sense of urgency?
Yeah.
About life, of doing things? Is it part of the meaning that we've got? Rowan says there's no meaning anyway.
I think it would be incredibly boring to live forever. Actually,
Yeah.
I think all experiences life is defined by death.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Would it be boring to live without death?
It'd be boring. The reason that I said I'm not scared of death is it's very morbid, but I have very elderly grandparents and they're all quite ready to check out.
Right.
So I think if you live to a certain age and you've got certain, like health problems, things like that, that fear disappears. So I get what you mean about there is an animal primal instinct to want to survive, but we also have reason, and I think sometimes people can reason that they don't want to be here anymore, and so it can't always be, it's not always something to fear. In some cases, it's a comfort to certain people. Not to
Okay, so reason can overcome fear. Oh, you're back. Come and have a seat as well. What's your name?
Ivan.
Eva.
Yeah.
So we're talking about, I think it was a good point from you that death is maybe something to be embraced because it has the things that life doesn't have. Certain people have talked about reasoning their way away from fear of death. Other people have said that fear is instinctual, and that's what we're talking about now.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah, is that what it is?
Yeah, more than fear of death. If they knew death, they wouldn't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And no one knows death because no one's died yet.
Yeah.
I have an inkling that past societies, civilizations used, I'm not condoning it, but I am saying that ritual sacrifice is a way of reiterating the fact that everyone is going to die. I'm not condoning it for 1 second, but modern society has no way of dealing with death.
Okay. Are we lacking the tools to deal with death in our world?
Gravestone isn't.
This is wrong. I'm sorry. I've got to chime in. There actually are people that deal with death. That's their job. The problem is we keep them in like their own little groups, right?
I'm going to hold the microphone because you're gesticulating too much.
Yeah.
Woo! Yeah.
So there are people that deal with death, right?
Who are they?
Let's see, forensic examiners, morticians. My sister-in-law is a mortician. Let's see, this girl I used to date back in Detroit. She works for the Detroit medical examiner's office and takes photographs of dead people in the morgue, right? And has to rebuild faces of people that had their, faces blown off with a shotgun and things like this. So they deal with death every day, and we ignore it. We regulate it to other people. So yes, we are removed from it. Even with I'm a meat eater. When was the last time you killed something?
Okay, so I get that, but what I get from that is a sort of yes and no.
There's no simple answer. There's no simple answer.
Yeah.
You're in it.
Okay. Okay, I mean, are we, can we, we didn't get your name.
I'm just saying that death is hidden behind hospital doors, it's sanitised, like people don't see it, that's where it's kept away, whereas, in the past you might, I don't know, kill a rabbit or something like that.
Yeah, it's a bit more visible.
I mean?
Yeah. So have we drawn a veil over death, so to speak?
Just one thing to add to that was I think it was maybe 2 years ago was the first year that you're more likely to kill yourself than to be killed by another human being in entire human history.
Really?
So probably it's unusual to live in a time where you're not being beaten up by people all the time, or or being killed by dysentery when you're 5.
Despite all the dystopia we exist in, these are some. I mean, we live in the best time to be human on planet Earth. There's less disease, there's more education, there's more equality, there's actually less war.
Okay.
And like you said, less violent death.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of things to be positive about, but it leaves us with some other things to focus on.
So we kind of push death away a little bit. You had a point.
I studied quite a lot of Buddhism, and they embrace death on a massive scale. To them, it's central. They have, they don't push it away at all.
Yeah.
So they kind of you actually learn practices to deal with bouncing your spirit out of your body and things at the point of death, and they're not really that bothered about it. It's they embrace it. They don't. It's not seen as it is in our modern society as this thing you can never talk about and this thing you can never. It's prepared for. It's part
of
your life.
It's a taboo in our worlds.
Yeah.
Okay. Buddhists are not that bothered about death, according to Pat. We've got a new face over here. Just quickly say your name.
Hello, my name is Mircha.
Mircha. Eva. What about? Well, you had your hand up. What were you going to say?
Oh no! All those cultures, she was talking about. They believe in reincarnation, but they see that as a negative thing. The ultimate goal is to not live again.
Yeah.
So that's something to think about.
Okay. Okay. So reincarnation. I'm surrounded, and we're talking. Just because you've just come in here, Mitch. At the moment, we're talking about death. We're talking about, does our culture actually draw a veil over death? Are we pushing death away? Are we pushing death away with medicine and science, but also culturally not pushing death?
Well, let's get real. Most of us are dead.
We're dead already?
Yeah, most of us are dead already. I mean, how many fucking zombies do you know? How many fucking zombies do you see every day?
Okay.
They think they're alive, but they're fucking zombies.
Are we actually the living dead? And do we need to... Is that great? Is that good if we embrace death? Or do we need to get real life? And how can we do that?
I always thought there needs to be this balance,
European culture doesn't really have this balance. I mean, some cultures have it, like I think Portuguese people, some Spanish parts, some parts of Spain, you know, like the celebration of death, you know, the carnival of death and so on. Like you kind of have to have a balance, because I guess what a lot of philosophers tried to do in the 20th century, they kind of tried to bring a lot of philosophies from the East to try to integrate the fact that, you know, death is not necessarily the end. It could be also, I mean, for me, it's an integrated part of life. You know, it's the same. It's just like, because yeah, I blame that on the, I'm going to sound a bit funny now, like, you know, all this enlightenment thingy, the scientific approach, that kind of thing that is very, people don't realize it, but it's at the, you know, one of the basis of our society, you know, the scientific approach. It's,
What is the science? If you believe in science, you should believe in rebirth. I mean, the preservation of energy, right? So regardless of what state we go to after this, the energy that's in us is going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that in itself is evidence of some form of reincarnation.
Okay, so we have reincarnation, even if it is being composted and just growing up as some other form of life.
I believe in that, yeah. For me, that is valid, yeah.
Okay. Okay, hang on, let me go.
That's pretty much the only wish I have after my death, to just have my, you know, be compost, or at least
would like to
be of
decompose.
use. Well, yeah, be of use to something.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
That's very Buddhist, because they actually, you know, I mean, let's face it, they chop their bodies up and take them to the top of the mountain. That's your last act of giving as a Buddhist, is to give your flesh to feed the birds, feed the vultures. That's what they do, and then they burn the bones.
I didn't really have anything to add to that. I was just going to come back to, what's his name?
Mircea.
No, the other guy.
Pablo.
Oh, Pablo. Yeah, just there's that. The word energy is bandied around, but just because the conservation of energy exists in physics, it's not really related to when we talk about life energy or something like that. It's not really the same thing.
Is life an energy?
So, like, I don't think anyone knows what consciousness is or where it arises from, and it's called the hard problem, because no one has solved that problem. So we can't describe how our brains doing electrical things makes consciousness appear. Like, no one has really solved that problem. So I think it's a mistake to think that we know that, or how it works.
So I mean, how does that inform the question about life and death?
I think it's not possible to say what happens after you die. I think probably you stop experiencing things would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look like you do.
Okay, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think people who are usually afraid of death, they afraid of losing their ego, because it starts about ego consciousness, like, you know, we can argue, whatever we're made of lives on, but that doesn't console people, because people, they don't want to lose themselves. I think that's what makes them afraid of death. And now in the East, people actually, the whole philosophy is to forget the ego, and that's why they embrace death.
Okay, so it's about ego. Are we scared to lose our ego? You're agreeing, Pat?
When you take a considerable amount of psychedelics, you experience ego death.
Do you?
Yeah. Not everyone, but
can you describe
but if you take a considerable amount,
can you describe what that's like?
Ego death, where you feel you are basically everything. You are your surroundings. You are the inside. You don't discern yourself from the external. Am I right?
So your sense of self kind of like
it's gone,
dissipates.
That's it. It's gone.
Does it go completely, or does it dissipate into
And I think that's an important thing, because at the end of the day, you are everything. You're a molecule. You're a particle.
Okay.
You're going to turn into that. You know?
So in a way, we can get this perception of this kind of dissipation of self that might have some kind of relationship with death. Are you scared of dying? Are you scared of death? Come and sit down. Come and get involved in this. Don't worry, it won't be. It might help. It might help you embrace your fear of death.
Sometimes the idea of death can be like exciting, like the rush you feel when like a train is approaching and you're like looking at the tracks.
So there's an exciting element to it as well. The fear, the danger, the unknown is not just something to be feared, but something that can provide something new and exciting.
Maybe it's like why we do a lot of dangerous activities. Like some of my favourite things involve, you know, like pushing the point of
Like
death,
what? Like what?
Diving, climbing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where you're 100 meters up a cliff face, you're fighting death, or 50 meters below the sea, or you're actively
laughing in the face of death. Okay.
So I think that kind of like touches on that, the call of the void, as they call it.
Okay, touching the void. Okay, where do you want to go with this, Julia? You've not said much. Have you got any views on this? You don't have to.
Well, just in terms of death?
Yeah, well, anything that anyone said, has it struck a chord with you?
Yes and no, in the sense of obviously like death is imminent, but I don't see the point of fixating on it.
Yeah, are we fixating on it too much, do you think?
No, I mean like everyone obviously is entitled to their own opinions, so that's completely
talking about death with the people sat around this table.
I don't know, about 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Is it? Well, I mean, is it been like a constant thing of the day? Or
no, I mean, literally before you lot sat down, we were talking about pickled onion or roast beef monster munch, and whether people could sit on the fence on that subject. But then I don't know, it just went. People changed and the subject changed. Yeah.
How many of you are aware of the terror management theory? Terror management theory.
What is that?
It's a theory that this guy around, I think in the 80s or something like that, came up with, in which he says that our entire civilization is a construct based on the fear of death. It's sort of like continuous struggle to survive, you know? So if you strip down everything of all the, artifice of whatever you want to attribute the, cultures, traditions, psychology, mysticism, which is the same thing, you end up pretty much to the final thing. And even in religion, the way to make people come and so on, you have to threaten them that there is an afterlife and they have to do good and so on, that aftermath and so on. I don't know if you're aware of that kind of stuff, because all this conversation about being particles, taking psychedelics and so on, at the end of the day, I guess we still have, especially a country like England, I'm kind of jumping from one thing to the other, you have a lot of like mental issues or problems like that, So I guess if people...
That is based on this terror of death?
No, it's not based on terror of death. It's based on a lot of things that are imbalanced. So I believe, this is one way of approaching, like integrating death in society as an integrated part of life, and not as, like an abject thing, like the other thing outside, the subject's mind, will actually benefit a lot of people, or not, for example, committing suicide, or also because it's not an escape, it's not really an escape at the end of it all. It's just another cycle. I mean, what I believe in is what you said, that idea that when I'm going to die, I can't say if my consciousness is going to carry on or not, because I'm not capable of giving a definition of that. But what I am aware of is that the body decomposes, and that body then feeds into some other, like maggots and things, and rats and other forms of life thrive off of that. So I kind of like that idea. I think it's more like down to earth. So I guess that's what you meant when you were kind of saying that we can't actually define that concept, you get me? I guess that's the main idea of death, that if a lot of us will actually just think about that, a lot of things like war, like racism, will probably lose all their, kind of intensity. They won't really hold that much anymore, I believe.
Okay,
and then other problems.
So if we readdress death, then a lot of the other problems in life would change their perspective. Come and sit down, grab a chair from somewhere. Okay, give us a final thought though before you go, James.
The self is an illusion.
The self is an illusion.
Discuss.
Okay, that's one that you've thrown in.
I was going to say, I read a book recently called Sapiens, and it's about like early humans. So we weren't. I think I don't know about everyone else, but the little picture of like the monkey and then the the Neanderthal and then the human.
Yeah.
That's not how it worked. Like when Homo sapiens first existed, there was lots of different other types of humans, and until the cognitive revolution, which is when we started like reasoning and being aware of ourselves, we were the same as animals. And so what you were saying about it's a construct of fear of death, but the whole thing of society is all of it, like human rights, countries, cultures, everything like that is something that we all made up between ourselves, because animals don't have that. So it's something that we used to be the same, and then for some reason we started thinking, and then that, like if all the humans died, England wouldn't still be England. There'd be no one to think it was. Do you know what I mean? It's all a construct, if that makes sense.
Okay, so we made up all these stories about who we are and where we came from. We've got a couple of new faces at the table. I'm going to come to you in a second, but we've got. Let's just get these new faces. What's your name?
What's it?
And
Alice.
And what's your name?
Rachel.
And remember, we're talking about death. Are we? Yes, that's right. We're talking about death, but it could be exciting. It could be it's an unknown, but it could be full of potential and possibility. And what Mitch is saying over here is potentially, if we readdress our fear of death, then potentially it changes our perspective on all of the problems of the world, like racism, like wars, like our understanding of nations and our evolution. Suddenly it will somehow change perspective, according to you. But let's get some, have you got a point?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I agree on that, because if we lose fear of death, we lose fear of living. And if we realize that people have...
We need to have fear of death.
The fear of death is almost like part of the survival mechanisms of the brain, but when we lose fear of death, and then realize that we actually really never die, that death is itself an illusion, then we understand that if people have gone through experiences and coming out of their body and not needing a body to survive, therefore consciousness never really dies. It's like the law of thermodynamics.
Okay, so you're saying death itself is an illusion because you can be conscious without a body.
Exactly.
Okay, interesting point. You're nodding on that one.
Consciousness without a body, I can get behind that. I mean, look at swarms. You know, like hive minds. Hive minds, yeah.
Okay.
Fish, when they swim together and they work off each other's movements, that's a single brain.
Okay. Is it possible you're nodding? As a few people are nodding. Any skepticism on this side? You're looking skeptical. Yeah.
I don't think that's like the same thing. So, like your brain is like lots of different things, but you experience it as one thing. You have one experience of your mind, and that's not the same thing as like maybe like a crowd of people or a crowd of fish or whatever.
Yeah.
Unless, yeah.
Okay, you're disagreeing. Is your mind a single coherent experience? Leo?
I would disagree, because it's about your definition of intelligence. They've found lately that, you know, slime molds, it's a mold, slime mold, it's not actually even an organism, it's just a collection of organisms, but it acts like neuronic network, it acts like a neural network.
Yeah.
So it's intelligence without a single thing behind it.
Right.
It's like...
How intelligent is a slime
It's
mold?
like, for example, they also found that you can get metabolism occurring in inorganic molecules.
Okay.
So something that happens in your stomach, you know, the processing of all the chemicals and stuff inside, it's not a biological thing inherently. It can come out of nothing.
Where does that stand with the sense of self and the mind and the consciousness?
It's like, right now we're sharing the same mind because we're listening to the same person, the one person speak.
Okay.
My voice is your train of thought.
So in a way, we're all within your mind.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How does it feel to be in Leo's mind?
Woo!
Feels alright. Feels alright. Okay.
But I guess the difference is we've each got our individual subjective selves. You don't have access to this hypothetical meta self that's constructed of each individual mind. In the same way that, yes, the school official, the slime mold, may seem like it enacts intelligence, but you can't speak to its awareness.
Yeah. How aware is
I
that
think the
slime
problem
mold?
comes down to semantic definition.
Yeah. I can say, Eva, I'm just going to come to Liv then.
I was just going to say the hive thing. Although I understand your point of like because they're all moving together. Humans are the only like animal, like particularly mammals, like they can only stay in communities of 150. After that, they all start to like split into separate groups. So hives work because they don't have the same individuals. Like they obey one leader.
Yeah.
Whereas in a community, like you do end up with a hierarchy, and that's why humans work because we create hierarchies. This is all from that same book, by the way. So I am just quoting.
Sapiens, it's called.
It's very good.
Yeah. Okay.
More or less on the same subject, you know, I think, you know, what we think as us is not just us, you know, because our body is, for instance, you know, we got bacteria inside our bodies who help us keep healthy and alive, and we're not consciously what they do, but what they do is what helps making us us.
Yeah.
So we're not just what we consciously consider ourselves, more than that as well.
So what we think of ourselves is not actually all of our real self. Some of it, there's a kind of overlay between what is our real self and what we think of as ourselves. Yeah.
Because as this person said when he left, the self is an illusion. But why is he saying that? if you think about the self itself, it's almost as if it's a construction of our mind, of what we want to show to the world, of how we think is ourselves. When we go deep within the psychedelic experience, and then we can transcend the boundaries of the self, then we connect with something grander. We connect to the bigger picture, and therefore you understand that.
But what is connecting with the bigger picture?
Connecting with the bigger picture is maybe understanding
is it the self connecting with the bigger picture? What is the thing that's connecting with the bigger picture?
I think is your own consciousness.
Okay, consciousness. Okay, that's not the same as the self.
I'm probably biased because of my job, but I do think it's about like connection with other people and to animals and the environment, things like that. But the key thing, I think a big thing of your sense of self is because you could have this perfect image of yourself, but if you never meet anyone else, you never know what. I think a lot of what we think of ourselves is dependent on our relationships, not necessarily what they think of you, but it all feeds back into that.
But that interaction with others defines us and makes us who we are.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, I've often wondered about like if you were the only human being, if you were like somehow just magically just created in the world without any other human beings, would you even develop a sense of self-awareness? Because I feel like it is moderated by others, the existence of others.
Would Robinson Crusoe or somebody that's on their own or never experience anyone else, would they have a sense of self? Let me get a final thought from...
My final thought is peel the onion. Thank you.
Peel the onion, okay.
Goodbye.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, were you going to say something, Jack?
If there were no other human beings, you might not view yourself different from rocks or bits of sand or trees or things, possibly. I don't know, because I don't live like that.
Somehow exist but you wouldn't...
It's like, there's stuff happening, I'm experiencing sensory things, and then that's kind of it, maybe.
Okay.
You'd have no one to talk to, so you'd have no language.
Would you have a name?
Probably not, and you wouldn't have any language because you have no one to communicate to. So
it's almost like what he's saying is like almost like we define ourselves by what's outside ourselves. So we're only conscious of ourselves because of what we perceive as what's outside ourselves. That's quite crazy when you think about it.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
With no other humans, you probably relate to the most similar thing to you. Like you hear about people being brought up by wolves or whatever. So you probably adapt in that way. You wouldn't think you were a rock or sand, but if you think you were another
kind
animal,
of relate to the rocks.
Not if there were other mammals, for example.
Yeah. Okay, so if there was a wolf, for example, you'd be kind of on the wolves. Yeah.
But you are the rock. Even though if you don't think that is a conscious organism, your mind is creating the rock. You're not experiencing the rock out there, you're experiencing the rock in here. Or not even in here, because the mind is not actually in here, it's everywhere.
Okay, so you're saying you are the rock, are we all the rock? Or is it just...
We are everything we see.
We are the rock, okay. Yeah, excellent.
What this gentleman over here has come to the conclusion of, which I think so, if I can speak for you, is basically what other religions or what religions try to aim towards, which is the fact that all is one and one is all. Okay. There is nothing discernible from anything else.
So it's a mush, is it?
It's a constant soup. It's a liquid soup.
Okay.
You are the table.
Yeah.
I am you.
Yeah.
You are me.
Okay.
That's right? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there was a point here. Yeah.
I was going to say, the thing about people being raised by what we call feral children. So far, there's not been a case of them actually being raised by wolves. They tend to be extreme child neglect cases.
Yeah.
But I've had to study them, and the thing that is interesting about them, it's terrible, but interesting, is that they never ever integrate into society. They never learn language because their formative years were spent in complete isolation. So they never relate to humans the same way because it is about that interaction.
So in a way it goes back to the thing that we are totally defined by those interactions and by, I guess, by the human interactions, not the rock interactions necessarily. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say about communication. I mean, I work in the veterinary industry and everyone's always talking about how do I understand my dog, how do I understand my cat, I can't speak cat, I can't speak dog. And the longer I've been doing it, I feel like I kind of do speak cat, but it's not a language in the way that I speak English. I mean, I learned French and I don't know, like there's lots of people speaking different languages around this table, and that we're all speaking English. And like when I'm thinking about speaking French, it's kind of like got a different idea.
Yeah.
And like when I'm thinking about communicating with a cat, it's got a different idea. And it's not necessarily body language as such, or like verbalization. It's like communicate. Well, yeah, maybe it's intuition. I don't know. You just sort of like your facial expression, or your vibes.
Like,
I don't know.
Do that with the cat. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. You're just like, oh,
respond.
that cat's unhappy, and some people who've never experienced a lot of time with a cat or a dog, they're like, oh, I'm just going to grab the cat. No, it's going to rip your face off.
Yeah, okay. So you've got some kind of connection with the cat.
Just anything. I mean, it's communication, isn't it? I mean, between people, between animals, between a rock. I
mean, do geologists have a similar thing with rocks?
Possibly, I don't know.
Okay.
95% of what we say, sorry, 95%, when you're talking to someone, 95% of what you're communicating isn't words. Only 5, like, I work with kids, I'm a speech and language therapist, and we always say to parents, only 5% of what you say is the words. Most of it is your tone of voice, your eye contact, all of that. That's far more important.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
I'm just gonna make eye contact with this side of the table.
Actually, I need to leave now.
Okay. Give us a final thought.
Two thoughts. One, death is good, don't be afraid. And two, just by coincidence, I'm actually a musician, and my musical project is called Songs About Death, because I realize I only write lyrics about death.
Right, okay.
But now people think I'm morbid, but it's opposite, because one of my songs is called Death, Be My Lover, Be My Friend, trying to say, we shouldn't ignore death, we should embrace it.
Okay.
I think that's the idea, that's the message.
Okay, embrace death. Death be my lover. Can we all have the same lover if it's death? We've got a new face. What's your name?
I'm Jamie.
Jamie, we've got Leo, we've got Rachel, we've got Rowan, we've got Mitchell. Sorry, I forgot your name.
Alice.
Alice, that's right. And we've got Jose, we've got Liv, we've got Julia, and James. And did we get your name?
Jamie.
Jamie. Okay. And we're kind of talking about this sense of connection, how we define. Are we defined entirely by other people? What is that connection? Is it just one big soup of universe, as Leo kind of suggested? How is a sense of self just something that's kind of, it must be useful to us in some way? And that's where we are right now, Jamie. Yeah.
Has anyone ever said something at the same time as someone else without anticipating that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Has anyone thought exactly the same thing as another person that they were sitting across from? And then they went over and talked to them, or they went over and talked to you, and they was like, oh, we're thinking about the same thing. Ever had that?
Yeah.
Right. That's what I wanted to throw into the soup,
Okay,
but that's significant. That's significant.
Okay.
That's significant.
Okay, we've got this concept, which I think of this kind of universal soup that we're all in. What's your name?
Sam.
Sam, I'm not going to do another round of names. You just missed it, so you have to wait for the next one. What's the point over here? Yeah.
I completely agree with that, because we are all thinking that we are separate from each other, but that itself is the illusion. If we think that we're separate from the world, then we'll... Yeah.
Sorry, Alice, I'm going to get a final thought from you, but finish your thought first.
We're going to go watch music.
Okay.
Yay.
Is that another form of connection, do you think?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
We're going to go and connect.
Okay. Enjoy your connection. A final thought, Rachel? No. No.
We're connecting.
Good. Happy connecting. Is it a primordial connection? Yeah.
I need to leave too, guys. If you guys want to do a virtual near-death experience, I'm showing it down there.
So you're actually you're dealing with death as well?
Yes, exactly. And my final thought is that if we learn to die in the midst of life, then we will realize that there is not death, and that if we free ourselves from these illusions, then we'll be hopefully united as a single species and collectively, driving this planet and make it an art piece, and a piece of art.
Okay. Thank you, Jose. Okay, yeah.
I was going to say, I kind of dispute it though. I don't think it is significant to think the same thing at the same time as somebody else. I mean, there are 7 billion people. We've been around for 100,000 years. We'll be around for millions more, hopefully. And it's just like, a coincidence doesn't necessarily have to mean something. And
okay, you think it's just random? That inevitably we're gonna think the same thing.
Just not random, just not significant.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So I agree with that because there's lots of things we do that are automatic responses to stimulus. So, like, when people say because something, you often agree with what they say, even if the reason is nonsense.
Yeah.
So there's lots of things we do automatically, and
so
just
in
because
a way
we have the same
we're
response
following the
doesn't mean
same
that we're-
mental paths.
Yeah, and you might be unaware of the fact that like what you're doing is just an automatic response, and you don't know why you think it or why you're doing it.
Right.
You just believe that it makes sense.
So it's less about telepathy and more about the fact our brains are the same.
Yeah, it's like if we all like sex, it doesn't mean that we're all the same and we're all one and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of similar experiences.
Okay, I guess that's how a lot of jokes work as well.
Yeah.
Come and have a seat on the table of chat. We're talking about, is there such a thing as this kind of like universal connection?
I would just like to say that in my personal life I have struggled with this discerning the fact that some things are purely coincidental and some things do have meaning. You can drive yourself extremely fucking crazy if you assign meaning to everything in your life.
Yeah.
So you do have to pick and choose, but I would say this. The ideas that I'm talking about are paradoxical in nature. So we won't know that we can communicate with each other until it happens. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
We're only getting, it's like this idea of a hive mind, it can't exist unless we're all
plugged into it.
Unless we all want to do it as well.
Yeah.
But while we separate each other, we can never get to that level.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
So if we've got a different sense of self and a different sense of each other, could we have more of a hive mind? Is it possible?
But we could expand that to like an absurd point, like I'm not a penguin until it happens, or I'm not a chocolate teapot until it happens. It's like,
would you like to be a penguin?
I mean, I'd give it a go. But just on the idea of like the psychic connection thing. So I just did a very quick calculation because I'm a massive nerd like that. There are 7 billion human beings, and for them to think something at the same time, or for any two to be thinking something at the same time and it not to be a coincidence, is 7 billion factorial, which is 6 times 10 to the 77, which is more chances than there are molecules in the universe, which in my mind means it cannot be anything but a coincidence.
Okay. I'm not sure if I follow that, and if I do follow it, whether I subscribe to it. But I mean, there's a bit of maths there from Rowan. Come and have a seat on the table of chat. Are we intrinsically telepathic and connected, or is it all just bullshit? That's what we're talking about now. Yeah.
I think it's the music and the vibrations that bring everyone together.
So it's a kind of synchronization.
Yeah, it's just a synchronization, just on opposites or equals. And when we either match or don't match, we either get along or we don't.
Okay. So it's a kind of rhythmic synchronization rather than a telepathy. That's what we're talking about here. Yeah.
I reckon that humans are pretty good at spotting patterns. And so for example, how many times have you seen a building and thought like, oh, those 2 windows and that gutter make a face? Like we just look for faces. We look for patterns in everything. So who's to say that, you know, coincidences and everything like that, we never notice when there's not a coincidence. We only notice when there is. And there are countless times. For example, right now, I can't notice any coincidences.
Yeah.
Anyone? I'm fresh out.
We all got hair.
There's a few people with long hair around the table,
Coincidence?
Coincidence or not?
Incidental is not coincidental.
Okay, interesting. I feel it's just really you and me that with the short hair. Anyway, oh yeah, you've got short hair as well. Yeah, it's a coincidence and a little bit. Anyway, yeah.
Are you talking about coincidence and synchronicity?
Well, there's a context behind it in that when somebody's thinking something at the same time as you, is it telepathy? Is it a connection, or is it a synchronization? That's what we're talking about.
I was like, for example, on Facebook or on the internet, when you're like searching for something, let's say you're searching for a specific car or book, and then
and on your Google ad or on your Facebook, that things like similar to what you were searching pop up, and this is because of the algorithms. My theory is that like maybe the universe has some sort of artificial intelligence or algorithms that like when you're thinking about something, you manifest it, or things like, you know, they come along, like it's like a, because if I create a virtual reality and put artificial intelligence in there, so when they have when something happens as a coincidence, but it happens because of an algorithm, they wouldn't know it's an algorithm. They would think that, oh, it's a synchronicity, or it's a coincidence.
Okay, so is that a reflection of the universe as a kind of artificial intelligence, these synchronicities? Is it a bit like when you are Googling, I don't know, weight loss or something like that, and then suddenly you get lots of adverts for weight loss on your face? That's definitely an algorithm, but what you're saying, Batu, is that algorithm could apply to the entire universe, not just to social media.
A theory I've heard, which I don't know whether I agree or not, is that it is infinitely likely that we live in a simulation, because if a universe could create a simulation, and in that simulation they would create a simulation because it's like for like, and then in that one they would create one, and that goes infinitely, it'll be infinitely unlikely that we will be in the original universe.
Okay.
Basically. If that makes sense.
Okay, we were having trouble with Rowan's coincidence mathematics. Now we're talking. Anyway, we'll try and follow it. Basically, what we're talking about is we must be living in a simulation, because that is much more probable than living in the real world, because there's only one real world where there must be infinite simulations. What's that?
Define real.
Okay.
You know, because you're talking about algorithms, you're talking about these things. When I kind of like reach out the edge of my thinking, I always think, you know, if there wasn't a human being, there wasn't the human perspective, because you have to think, you relate to the universe from the human perspective, but you can't, you know, you're talking about algorithms, you talk about things that are creations of the human mind, the human brain, you know, they belong to the human experience. But then again, you know, what if you see the universe from I don't know, an insect point of view?
Is it possible to see the universe?
I don't think it is, you know, I mean, I'm just speaking, the point is, you know, I guess we have to be very careful when we relate to this kind of ideas of, like, you know, other worlds or expanding universes, because it's very easy to deceive yourself, because you only have the human experience.
Okay, so in a way what you're saying is that going back to your many simulations, that actually what that is seeing the universe from a human perspective, because the idea of a simulation is a human idea, and it's a very human thing. So it's unlikely that the universe itself or other intelligent beings are going to have that same human perspective. We've got a new face to the table, and we're getting pretty complex and philosophical here. What's your name?
My name is Rose.
Rose, welcome. We got Rowan, we got Mercher, and Chris and Batu and Liv and Julia and James and Jamie and Nick and Leo, and my name's Mikey. Right now, at the moment, we're talking about this idea of synchronicity. Is it because we live in a simulated universe that we get these synchronous things? Is it coincidence? Is a simulated universe much more likely than whatever a real universe might be? Or is it just the fact that we fail to be able to escape our human frame, and we can't see things from a universal perspective because everything's so human that we have to give it these human qualities, these agencies and causalities and stuff like that?
It's just one. There is a philosophical refutation about the simulation paradox, which is that we're more likely to be in a simulation, which is that we don't know we can create a perfectly simulated universe, but the other thing is we don't know that we couldn't create a real universe, and if we could do that, then surely that real universe would also create a real universe, thus negating the simulated universes. So actually all bets are off. It's still 50-50.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I think this is the point that
so there's no real, basically.
Yeah.
That is the one thing we have concluded. There is no definition of reality.
Yeah.
And it's up for grabs, basically. Whatever we discuss here on the table is our definition of reality.
Okay.
There are definitions of reality, but then again, we want to have like a definition, you know. So then again, you know, that's another.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
We're back to the soup theory.
I disagree.
You disagree. What is your definition of reality?
Please come back to me. I can.
Okay, but you do disagree with that. Okay. Okay. So, definition of reality. I mean, do we need a definition of reality? Is there anything between them?
I mean, like, we can never define reality because reality is defined by the mind that's observing it. Like right now, I'm looking at you. I'm like seeing colors on your shirt. Yeah. But like, it's the way I see those colors is different than the way you see those colors because your eyes have different type of color pigments than my eye has. So, and also like, for example, like, when we're like talking, like we're using language, and like I'm trying to, how they call, express my ideas by using the language. But when you're hearing like the words I'm using, they go through the filter that you have, your own dictionary.
So is our reality our own reality, our own private reality?
I always say that, like, I mean, I doubt, therefore I might be, or I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. You can. The only thing that you can prove is that you exist because everything else is just around you. I'm not saying you're in the middle of the universe, but you might be because I cannot prove that you exist. The only thing that I can prove is that my mind exists. And when I even say my mind, what is me? Okay. Like it's like my object, my this, and my body, and like me. It's like what is I?
Okay, so we can never really get further than that. Can we have a collective reality of any kind?
I guess you can. That's right. That's what religion tries to do sometimes. Tries to bring this thing together under like a thing. To bring people together, to give them a vision, to have some sort of... I mean, nowadays, that's not really the case. Always when I talk about these things, I like that, Renaissance period and then how it kind of, develops from there. I think that's very interesting. If you have a look at that, you can understand a lot of things about how a lot of what we do today is still due to that transition.
To the thinking from way back 100 years ago.
I was going to say, my point earlier about how countries exist, whatever, the flip side is that we do share realities together in that we've all decided to believe in certain things. So even though that's only in your head, you've agreed to believe that with someone else. So you've created something with someone.
So collective beliefs give us a collective reality. Okay.
It's like punk existed because everyone believed in it and they did it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So, I mean, earlier on someone was saying, for this festival they created a psychedelic festival and it was just 2 bands playing on a night and they called it the Internet.
For all we know, we could be the future leaders of the world. Yeah. And this is our first conference.
Yeah. If we say it, the first step is to say it and to name it. Yeah.
From what I've heard, I would say there are 4 aspects. The first aspect is what you said. You would say religion and faith. Yeah, faith. I would say.
Well, the question of faith and belief. I think
religion, faith, spirituality. I would class that as an abstract entity. Yeah. The second entity would be a physical being. So, we're all humans, we're all mammals. We have blood circulating, so we're a physical being. The third entity, I would say, would be automation. So, for instance, devices that do things that humans used to do, so self-service checkouts, for instance. And the fourth entity, I would say, would be, do you know what augmented reality is? So, like, Pokemon, I don't play Pokemon, but Pokemon Go was like a big thing last year. Yeah. So a computer-generated object generated that's not physically there, but you can interact with in a virtual world. Yeah. So you have, I would say there are 4 aspects nowadays in which we interact.
Okay, 4 different types of reality, 4 levels, 4 aspects. Yeah, hang on a second, I'm just going to come.
There's in contemporary philosophy, there's an area called speculative realism, which is finally trying to crack like some of the hard problems, like could there actually be, could there be a concrete reality? And a lot of it hinges on the fact that a lot of arguments against there being a concrete reality might be semantic. There's no like conclusions.
What do you mean by that might be?
Well, as in like they sound really clever, and there's lots of very intelligently phrased, intelligently worded phrases that sound like, oh well, there can't be reality because of this. Like any talk about multiverses and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of it falls down when you actually analyse it as statements of logic.
Okay. So it's bullshit, basically.
Kind of. It's more like it's the idea is it's aiming for a proof by contradiction, which is something that exists in mathematics. Yeah.
Is that philosophy or is it physics?
Multiverse. Multiverse I'd say could be physics, but something like because it could theoretically, anything that can be testable can be physics, in my opinion. And a multiverse, we can't envisage it being testable now, but it's not to say it couldn't be. You know,
it's theoretically testable.
Well, in the same way that, like, it's only in the last couple of hundred years that you could communicate with the other side of the planet. You know, so a very naive person could have assumed that there was no other side of the planet, but then we learned how to communicate with it, and so it's analogous to that.
Okay.
You're bound
okay. Let's. Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about reality, and it's all got quite philosophical. Yeah.
What you're saying there? Has anyone heard of Timothy Leary?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So science and faith are both trying to reach the same conclusion, and you can basically reach the same conclusion with either science.
What conclusions are they trying to reach?
What we're talking about, this soup, or all these theories about multiple universes and stuff, you can figure it out with scientific methods, but you can also figure it out tripping in your brain. So either or, no, but I'm just saying that the answer could be just as valid.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's just interesting.
Is the answer just as valid? Hello. This is Talkaoke. At the moment, we're talking about reality. We're talking about, is there such a thing as a concrete reality? Is it all in our heads? That's what we're talking about right now. Yeah. What's the point? Yeah. What are you going to say?
So this is completely irrelevant. What's your name? Sorry.
Liv.
The badge you've got on you. Where did you get that from? Oh, right, okay. Yeah. That's what I wanted to know. Like, what? Yeah. Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
One of the VR things has got Timothy Leary in it, and then he gave me a badge after I watched them. They were really good, really good.
Okay, so what's your name?
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter, but it's just a good way to. You can give a name. You don't have to give a name.
Mircea.
Okay. Okay, we've got Mircea over here. We've got Liv.
That's not the real Mircea.
Okay. Okay, so are you saying that this Mircea is an imposter?
I am.
Okay, yeah.
I want to ask a question, because we've spoken about reality and everything, but again, the only perspective that you have is the perspective of a normal person. What about the people that are mentally deranged, people that have very severe mental problems, people that, they perceive reality in a completely different way than you? That's where it all comes to me, as you say. It's a bit, at the end of the day, it's a bit of a bullshit thing that people like to beat around the block, beat around the bush, take psychedelics. The point is, it's so deceiving, man. At the end of the day, we really need strong structures for ourselves, because the point of we come from death and society and religion. So the whole point of having all these experiments done at the end of the day is for a higher purpose, to be able to understand better what is happening. Because to give an example, for example, before there was psychology, there was mysticism. And then some of those ideas have been taken into account by modern psychologists or so on, and and they actually make sense in a way. So that also links to the idea that.
Sorry, let me just get a final thought from Chris.
Final thought. You're all wonderful people.
Oh, thank you. So right now we're talking about reality. Mircea is this Mircea anyway, is saying we need. Give me a final thought.
It's been very interesting. That's my final thought. Enjoy.
Okay, that's been very interesting. So this Mircea over here, we've got Mircea over here. What's your name?
Francis, hello.
Francis, hello. We got Rowan. We haven't got your name.
Mark,
and we've got Leo and Nick. My name's Mikey. We're sort of talking. What you're saying is we need some kind of. I don't want to. Let's maybe break it down into smaller chunks because what you're saying is we need this framework. We're desperate for some kind of framework to hang on to, and originally that was a kind of mysticism, and now we've got scientific experimentation.
My opinion is that all this experimentation that is done, in the end, is good for the human experience. We need to make the human experience more valid for ourselves to be able to understand. I guess that is the point. That's why you need to have scientific proof. That's why it needs to be proven, this and that and so on. And people like to be tricked by their own senses and so on, and that has been proven that it's not completely accurate. That's why we have machines to do certain things for us, because they help us. Do you understand what I'm going with that? I guess.
Yeah, I do.
I'll leave it there for you to carry.
It's like wanking. It's genuinely like wanking.
Why?
Because you're putting off actually meeting another person.
Yeah.
And having feelings and emotions, and you just doing your dick off.
Yeah, okay.
Well, hey, that's your personal preference, mate. You can go, you can do it in front of whoever you want, whenever you want. I don't give a shit.
Okay,
but I mean, you know what I mean.
So what you're kind of saying is
this festival is done so we can all have fun and sort of find other people who are like us
and not have to wank.
And not have to wank, or maybe they do in the toilets. I don't care, but but at the end of the day, what he is saying is this is kind of defeating the purpose of psychedelia.
What is?
This festival itself is procrastination.
Yeah.
We should actually be like forming a bloody committee,
you
know, and writing a manifesto of the human mind
to make the world psychedelic.
Yeah.
Okay.
As opposed to just getting together and having a little circle jerk.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
Okay. All right. So let's just bring in this person. Was it Laura? What was it? Francis. What do you think about this? I mean, you've just sort of walked into this conversation. These guys, apart from Mark, have been here for ages. But I mean, do you understand what they're going on about? Does it make sense, first of all?
So, yeah. I mean, it makes me, it makes me think for some reason about whether our brains hack the quantum mechanics states.
Right, okay.
Or not. Okay. And I don't think they do, but I think they might.
Okay, there's a possibility. There's a possibility.
And I just want to know that they might.
Okay. Is there a possibility that our brains could work in some kind of quantum mechanical way?
We just tweak everything slightly and steer into this weird social course that subconsciously is happening that we don't really understand.
Okay. Okay. And we've got Mark. Mark, does this make any sense to you?
Well, what you were talking about, there's something for me about texture in the world that I think is really missed at the moment. So most of the social systems are being designed by software people around us, and they're very binary.
Right.
And they want to understand everything. And I think the thing that I think there was something about what you said, understanding that sense of texture is really important, and it has to be a real experience at some level. But there's a lot of ways. It has to be about us and how we relate to things around us, and it's not the same as tucking away in a virtual reality box or getting off your head. There's something
about the texture of reality, is it?
Yes.
The texture of reality.
But it's missed at the moment in so much.
Yeah. Is it a tactility? Okay.
Let's hold hands, everyone.
Okay. All right.
Go on then.
Okay.
Go on then.
I'm not sure if I want to hold your hand.
It's very far between this one.
Okay. Well, okay. We need more people.
Come on.
Okay.
What is psychedelia?
What is psychedelia?
Oh, it's many things, man. You know, like to give it that. To answer that thing, I think this festival is about music, pretty much. Psychedelic music, which is a genre, psychedelic rock music. You know, it does have a history. What it has developed into nowadays is pretty much a mashup of, you know, of course. You did your research. I'm not going to go into that. But you know, the idea is that. You know, we live in this, you know, corporate thing. We have to understand it. This is what we get. You know, it's like if you really want to have a real psychedelic experience, go get a fucking bunch of lunatics, get somewhere isolated, get all drugs you can, you know, and have your own bands. And you know, I mean, there are loads of books about that kind of stuff. You know, so that's it. Psychedelia at the same time. You know, there's this. I mean, how old are you?
Oh, too old to remember. Over 40. 43. 43.
Very good.
You've lived long enough to. What country are you from at the same time?
No.
Well, that was an ironic question, you know. Like, I'm not gonna answer that. I'm not gonna answer that at the end. No. I mean, if you're being honest about it, like, what is psychedelia? You want to know what is psychedelia for us, or what is psychedelia as a general term?
Okay.
I mean, because it's mainly linked to this idea of, you know, taking psychoactive drugs that kind of dissociate you from reality and show you this other perspective about the world and so on.
Other perspectives of reality.
Yeah, I guess that's the simplest way to put it.
We got a new face to say. What's your name?
Matt.
Matt, we got Nick, we got Leo, we got Mark, we got Rowan, we got Mircea and Francis. We're kind of at the moment talking about, there's this question about texture that Mark threw in. There's a question about what is psychedelia. There's this, you know, according to Mircea, it is basically getting off your face in somewhere remote with a bunch of lunatics. But maybe we should go around the table, and maybe I could even reflect that question back to you, which is, I think, is what you were saying. What is it for you?
And no fucking clue. I just heard it was a good festival, and some of the stuff I don't understand it, and it's amazing, and that's really cool. I love the. I have no idea why it's amazing. It's from a different universe.
So in a way, okay,
brilliant.
So okay. So amazing stuff you don't understand could be a good definition. What's psychedelia for you?
For me, psychedelia is inspiration of the movements like surrealism, and I guess in music-wise, it's kind of like the music where it comes from. How did it came? Psychedelia just comes from. I don't know why it was tagged, but it's just. It comes from surrealism. It's about dreams, dreamlike. I guess, how does it connect to the music? That's what I would like to know.
Okay, dreams, surrealism. Hang on, we'll go. You've had your go. You have your go, Nick.
So, psychedelia in this context, I would say, is psych rock. And in my mind, psych rock means noodly bass lines, a cavalier attitude to time signatures and the drumming.
Right. So it's
like a reverb on the vocals.
Yeah.
That might it might not be English or like pidgin language, and then people just go like. Like
okay,
that.
so it's quite technical definition from you. Quite.
Noodling bass lines.
Okay, noodling. Well, it's more technical than what he came up with anyway. Psychedelia.
Psychedelia, I think, is to do with creating and experiencing experiences.
Yeah.
Abstract thinking and being part of a creative collective, a group of people that not only just like indulge in vices and do simple things, but they are actually trying to
open-mindedness.
Yeah, but they're actually trying to like
get somewhere,
live an original life.
Okay.
Be authentic.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I think.
Okay, Mark, any views on what is
on psychedelia? Well, not many, because I think everybody here would be. I'd be interested to know what they all think. But for me, there's a structure. There's something about how you can that abstract thing. It can fly between loads of different things and senses and colours, but
so
it has form.
Remote
it has a
associations.
form and a flow, so that you can share it with other people. There's a shape to it in the moment, and it's very in that moment as well. And it's about how it dances between the different feelings and moments.
Yeah. Okay.
Back in and out.
And it's experience.
Rowan?
I mean, to me, like, psychedelia is more about, unlike other creative mediums, it's perhaps more about the creation process than it is the reception process. I feel like it's less geared towards trying to induce a specific emotion in someone and more about an abstract process of creation that acknowledges the subjectivity of its reception. And I think other genres don't have the same thing. Like when someone's writing a metal song, they're like, right, I want this person to feel angry. When they're writing a like romantic poem, they want someone to feel like sad or enlightened or happy or something like that. Whereas I think with psychedelia, it's more about an abstract creation process that's designed with a subjective interpretation in mind.
Okay. So a sort of like divergent kind of effect. Yeah.
They're all the same.
They're all the same.
They're all describing the same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Am I going to be banned from this table in the end?
Yeah.
Then what is happening here, I guess, in terms of you don't really have psychedelia here. This is a festival this is my opinion only, It's a festival of music where you have like all these bands that fall into this genre of psychedelic rock, and at the same time you have an amalgamation of people that believe in something or they have a certain attitude towards life. That's why we're able to have this conversation right here.
I mean, what would
and then you have these artists that do all these installations and so on, which, as you can see, they're based around virtual reality, a lot of augmented reality, illusion, and that's all I have to say.
What would a psychedelic festival be for you if you don't think this is more of a what would the actual really truly let's say Kool-Aid type psychedelic festival be like?
Well, I truly believe in this idea of like people have to do something that is related to their time.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, a truly psychedelic festival in the world right now, I haven't been there, but as far as I've seen, I think, you know, Burning Man would be a truly psychedelic, because you have a big openness, you have an infinite space where it's not defined by any sort of structure.
I'd like to take one question about the psychedelic. It's like so many influences have been influenced by psychedelic music, like all the alternative rock, indie rock stuff throughout the late 80s, early 90s, the shoegaze movement, like My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive Ride, Swerve Driver. I mean, they were inspired by psychedelic, but they're not like too on the 60s vibe. They were more, I guess, like alternative underground, you know, Cocteau Twins, to do American indie rock bands like Sonic Youth, but I kind of get, they kind of blend, 4AD, and then all of a sudden they had the psychedelic elements, but it kind of made it into something different than the 60s, the peace and love thing, into more, what should I say, gothic, kind of the gothic sound combining a lot more.
Well, two things I'm going to say. Firstly, I was going to say, is it called synesthesia? People see things in colour. And like secondly, a lot of them get into like the 60s thing, like Jimi Hendrix, like colourful, blah blah blah. But in terms of what Jim Morrison as well, the Doors. But in terms of what you're saying about 80s, 90s, like there are different interpretations, and I think we've gone around and said what psychedelic means to you. The commonalities are all here to listen to music and broadly in art, but so our touchstones might be slightly different, but we're all drawn together through at least one common thread. But diversity in life is like one common thread, but then people branch out.
Okay. So what is the common thread for us?
Music. A love for music, obviously. That's why we're here. A love for music.
And so let me just get. Are you off, Mitch? Let me just get final thought. I'll come.
Final thought, like yesterday, don't be afraid to fart in public, people, but in open spaces.
Okay. Like Burning Man would be a better place to fart than this festival.
Of course, yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to leave
Okay, yeah, well maybe it's time to get final thoughts for everyone, because I'm starting to get a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of a gravelly, talking about textures, I've got a gravelly...
One question for you.
Yeah.
Because you're the compere at the Liverpool Psych Fest. What's your definition of psychedelia?
I mean, to me, it is, I was saying it yesterday, it's about this expansion of the mind, it's about different possibilities, different understandings of reality, and investigating reality, really. To me, that's what it's about, is an investigation and experimentation. Have you got a final thought though, Mark? Or was that your final thought, was that question?
I think there's much more to life than Burning Man, and all of those different psychedelic festivals come loaded with political legacy and structures, and I think a lot of the challenge, a lot of the problem is getting past whatever political structures are being imposed around the sheer process of that artistic flow.
That's why in Liverpool, not in London.
Well, and Liverpool is an interesting place for this.
Okay, so having it in Liverpool is a lot different to having it in London. Okay, final thoughts?
By involving yourself in psychedelia, you are launching yourself straight into the primordial soup. So have fun.
Okay.
This is a more business question. Peoplespeak.org.uk, is this like a touring festival thing?
Yeah, we just go from place to place. We don't just do festivals, we do council estates, shopping centres, museums, galleries.
It's a movement, it's a movement.
It's a bit of a movement, a small movement, but the movement nevertheless. Have you got a final thought, Nick? Or was that it?
No, it's not that. I think it's, I'm quite intrigued about how free-form debates, because you've been one moderator, you've switched around, how it's so patient, obviously, for sitting here, but how a conversation can evolve when you have, 6 people around a table which rotate every half hour or so, how a conversation can evolve organically. I just find it fascinating, really.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, given you said you've seen this, it's interesting to see. It's a microcosm of social flows, really, in and out. Yeah.
And every single one is different. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years. Every single day is different, and you learn something every day. Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
Well, my final thought about psychedelia movement, it feels like karma. Wherever you do good things and good things reward you, and if you do the bad things will haunt you back. Right. In many ways, I always found psychedelic movement is free will, free thinking. Go with your gut tells you. You know, whether you're on politics sides, like for example, left wing or right wing. Go where your gut is.
Do you find them prejudiced or judgmental?
I guess I'm not really judgmental or anything.
No, but other people towards.
Some people, depends who you hang out. I guess some are judge, some are prejudiced. It's all in life. It's up to them. They make the choices. It's about choices.
Yeah. Okay.
It's how you feel.
Final thought, Ryan?
Mr. Right.
Yeah. Everything is subjective. There is no truth except that you exist.
Okay. Have you got Francis' final thought?
So I found the mention of Burning Man quite useful because I've been there, so I know what it means a bit. But yeah, so there's the energy, the creativity, the freedom.
Did you feel that it was a more psychedelic festival because it had this openness and this?
Well, yeah, but it's co-opted as well, so it's corporately co-opted in a way more than here in a way.
Yeah.
Even though it's pretending it's not. So yeah.
Can you have corporate psychedelia?
No.
Okay, that's an interesting.
That's probably almost like if you asked me to define it, that would almost be the core trait.
It can't be a corporate thing. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thanks everyone for taking part in Talkaoke. We'll do another session later on. Thank you, Rowan, for the appreciation. Everybody else has gone. Thanks for the beer as well.